All right, let's get started here. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you had a nice holiday break. This is the Gnosis AI call. Please note that the call is being recorded. We get together with teams every month here on the Gnosis Chain Discord, teams who are building AI applications on top of Gnosis Chain, much like our team today, which is Brian AI. We're super excited to have them. We have a bunch of the team members in the Discord right now, so thanks so much for making the time. So quick introduction. Brian. I always mess that up. Brian is built on top of the Brian API. So the Brian app offers a user interface for performing transactions in a non-custodial way, researching Web3 info, and deploying smart contracts by prompt. Brian is a versatile AI agent designed specifically for Web3 interactions. Let me share the link real quick so you can take a look. The UI is very similar to ChatGPT, so it's super simple to use, very intuitive, really familiar. So you can ask Brian to explore the Web3 ecosystem and find resources that you need. You can send transactions with Brian. You can swap your tokens, bridge them across many chains. You can deploy smart contracts. You can verify smart contracts on multiple chains via Brian. You can also ask Brian about subgraphs, explore information available on the graph subgraphs via prompts. Brian was born during the ETH Prague hackathon in June of 2023. They famously won a hackathon award there, and they're currently live on Gnosis Chain. So we have Mato and other team members from Brian, as I mentioned, joining us right now. So Mato and whoever else is going to run the demo, why don't you guys just quickly introduce yourselves and then jump into the demo.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for the intro and also for the kind words about Brian. Yeah, I'm Matteo. I'm a business developer and project manager here in this space. I've been working for the last 60 years on Ethereum projects, and as you said, we started Brian during the Prague hackathon, and we also won there a bounty from Gnosis. So Gnosis, we can say it was the first chain that we support, and it's amazing to see how you guys can help the developers and startups continue building and reaching out to new customers and possible customers for the project. So I'll give the word to Orbulo that will show us the product, and we have also a little surprise for you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us here, and yeah, thank you also John for the presentation. I think that we do not need to add anything to what you said, and yeah, I'll go right into the demo so that we can see how Brian works. Just double check if everything works. It should be working. Okay, perfect. So Brian right now is in private beta. What we mean by private beta is that, of course, you need to be whitelisted to use Brian as of right now. There's a form in our Twitter account where you can just send us your address, or you can send it in our DMs in order to be whitelisted. But soon we will be releasing Brian to the public as well. And I'll just be connecting my wallet real fast. And yeah, as John said, the main functionalities of Brian are these four. So ask Brian, where you can ask information about Web3 documentation and papers and so on. The send transaction feature, which is I think one or the coolest one that we had, where you can swap tokens, transfer them, bridge them, and so on and so forth. And we'll see some examples as well by prompting. And then we have the smart contracts feature where you can ask Brian to generate Solidity code for you. You can edit it inside Brian. If you are a Solidity developer, you can deploy it, and also you can interact with it as well after you've deployed it. And then the last one that we added, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we added also the subgraph features where you can ask information about particular dgraph subgraph. In this case, we only have Uniswap and OpenSea because we are still working on it to make it like really functioning, and we are working as well with the dgraph team to make it also performant when searching information via prompting. So regarding the Ask Brian feature, how does it work? Basically, we create a list of documents, pages, PDFs, and so on that we get from the internet, and we generated this what we call a knowledge box that Brian uses in order to retrieve such information when users prompt it to them. And it has, of course, also the documentation of Gnosis, so you can ask information about Gnosis. And my favorite one is this question here, which is what are the differences between Gnosis chain and Ethereum? And Brian is gonna give a really cool response, in my opinion. And Brian does not only give back the response based on the prompt, but also it gives you the top 3 related resources connected that were used to generate this response. So as you can see, it tells you that, for example, Gnosis chain charges only 500 transactions for $1 and so on and so forth. Then the send transaction feature, which is the one that most people want to see. You can, of course, send transactions by prompting. We support several operations such as swaps, bridges, transfer approvals, retrieval of balance and total supply, wrapping and unwrapping of ETH, and cross-chain swaps as well. And I think those are all the features, I think, that Brian is capable to do. So just to give you some examples, you may write something like, I want to transfer for XDAI to, I'm just going to take my own address. And Brian here is going to extract all the parameters present in the prompt, and is going to build that transaction for us. Brian is also capable of resolving as well ENS, so you can also use ENS domains. So in this case, I'm using my ENS domain, and Brian will resolve it to my address when building the transaction. As said by John at the start, Brian is a non-custodial solution, so we just build the transaction for you, and then you need to confirm it and sign it with your own wallet. So if you click on confirm, it's gonna prompt a transaction for you on MetaMask. It's taking a little bit, but we're going to go further as well. You can also do stuff like, I want to swap 3xDAI for USDT. Okay, so the action is not supported. Okay, Brian doesn't want to work every time I need to do a demo, but whatever. So this is a swap, for example. So this is a XDAI swap for USDT. And we also added the functionality to let you see which protocol you are using to swap. In this case, it's Swapper, and also it tells you how many gas fees and how many slippage, how many other fees, and so on you will pay using this protocol. And then the most useful one, in my opinion, is the bridging one. So, for example, I want to bridge 5xDAI to Polygon, and something which is really cool, you can also change the receiver of the transaction. So, for example, if I want to bridge these tokens to Polygon and send them to another address, I can do it in one single transaction. So I can say I want to bridge 5xDAI to Polygon and send them to limone.eth. Let's see if the ENS resolution is working because okay. And okay, so it's not doing it for the it was for this swap, sorry, my bad. You can do it for this swap, but not for the bridge. As you can see, it tried to switch to the other chain for me, but if I remember correctly, we can do it as well with a swap. But you get the point. And then for the deployment of smart contract, it's really easy. It's as you would imagine it. You just ask what type of smart contract you want. Of course, it's not capable of creating really complex smart contracts as of right now, but for like we developed this functionality to allow people that wanted to develop their own smart contract and give them like their first joy of deploying a smart contract. That's why we built this kind of tool. So it's not meant to be like the ultimate like Solidity helper as of right now, but in the future it will be hopefully. So you can ask, can you give me the code for an ERC20 token named Brian Yo with 10,000 total supply? And Brian is gonna give us the code for the smart contract. As you can see, that's what we asked. You can also edit it directly in Brian. As I said before, if you're a developer, you can change small stuff and then just close the editing. You can ask Brian to explain you what this code does. If you're not familiar with Solidity, for example, this is the response. So it's gonna tell you that this is a ERC20 contract, a popular standard for creating fungible tokens, and so on. What it's really cool is that you can also ask him like ChatGPT does to add other parts of code to the same smart contract. So you can say add a mint function, which is only owner, for example. And Brian is gonna edit that same code and add the only owner. And as you can see, it uses libraries. It does not generate code. And in order to, of course, reuse stable code that has like does not have any bugs. So, and yeah, another thing that you can ask is as well, let this contract receive ERC71 tokens. And this should add the ERC71 receiver to the smart contract. Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The last one is the subgraph, but it's pretty slow. I don't want to let you wait on this because some queries that we're generating are small. We can try one if it works. It's the top 3 liquidity pools by volume. What we are doing here with the graph is we found a way to compress pretty large GraphQL schemas, which was a really complex task, and have LLMs which have small context, so you can only pass a limited amount of characters to them. We figured out a way to compress the schema and send it to the GraphQL API. In this case, the graph one. And yeah, sadly, it takes a lot when you ask information, ordered information on dgraph, but we already told them so, but whatever. And I guess we will do this announce because we did not announce them yet, but actually we are releasing the Brian APIs. So for all the whitelisted users, they will be able to register their own API key and use the Brian APIs. So you could ask information. So this is the Ask Brian API. This is the transaction part. So just by passing a prompt, an address, and an optional chain ID, you'll be able to generate the call data for this API. And of course, we have the parameters extraction and the smart contracts want to generate code. And if I remember the key, Brian, we just set it up this real fast. I don't remember if it was this one, but whatever. I need an address as well, just to test it. If this is the key, I want to swap 10 USDT to USDC on Polygon. No, it's not this key, but whatever. You get the point. We are going to release the API keys as well. It will be region located for both Europeans and US, so there will be two endpoints. This one, api.brianknows.org, will be for European-based services, while the US dash api.brianknows.org is the API for the US-based services. So you will get like better latency while using the API. And yeah, that was pretty much it, I guess. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for such a great demo. And so now's a good time. Now's a good time for questions. So if you would like to unmute your mic and ask a question, or if you want to type it, I can read it. And I'm happy to kick it off with a question, or if anyone has a pressing question, go for it. Yeah, I mean, I have tons of questions, so I don't want to take up all the space. But yeah, this is super cool. There's just so many like things that you could do with this UI. It's endless. So just one thing that like comes to mind is first and foremost, like what kind of attack vectors does Brian, present for the user, and what is the team doing to prevent hacks or anything like that?
So if I got your question correctly, what we do at Brian right now is that we, for the I think that you mean for the transaction part, no? Or in general?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's non-custodial, so Brian is never taking custody of any funds, but does the UI and just like the AI introduce new attack vectors that would expose the user to any vulnerabilities?
Well, actually, no. No, because of course, for what you already said, for like it being non-custodial, but also for what we like how we build the transactions and what type of, for example, solvers that we use. Because as of right now, we do not have our own solver of the transaction. So from the prompt, we are using external solvers. In this case, we are using DeFi. And so like we build this transaction using these other solvers that are already trusted. And like for the AI part, I would not think that like there are no such attack vectors that you could create, because like there's no private keys that are being sent to LLMs and so on and so forth. So like in my opinion, there are no new attack vectors in this case. I don't know if someone from the team wants to add something, but
yeah, maybe I can add something. It's kind of a new field, but so what we are caring about are prompt injection, as you know. So we are developing also in such a way that also new kind of hacks are curated in Brian, but that may lead from the AI part.
Cool. And so, to what extent can I automate any of these transactions or actions? Like, for example, could I tell Brian that I want to swap 10 USD to USDC like every minute for the next week?
this is a feature that a lot of users want. And we are currently working on it. You cannot perform recurring operations as of right now, but we are in talks with other solvers, and we are figuring out if the best way is to create that kind of architecture for recurring transactions ourselves, or to use, as we said, battle tested solvers for this kind solvers, or systems that already perform recurring transactions. And so to answer your question, no, you cannot do it right now, but you will be able to do it soon.
And how about auditing? Could I feed Brian a smart contract and ask it to audit it for me, or just check it for vulnerabilities?
Well, the AI vulnerability checking part is a really complex field, and we studied a lot of like papers and stuff around it, and other projects that use these kind of technologies to check for vulnerabilities and stuff. And while, like for example, static vulnerabilities may be like you could find, for example, I don't know, re-entrancy issues or stuff like that that could be easily seen also by an AI. I don't think as of right now that is it. So, like I would not give a smart contract to an AI to check for vulnerabilities, especially if it's a really complex one. But that's just because I don't think that we are there yet for detecting hacks. Also because like most of the hacks slash vulnerabilities that are present are really subtle, and it would be really hard for an AI to find these kind of vulnerabilities, in my opinion. So yeah, but it's really cool. Like if it's in the future, if we get there with the technology and with a way to find this kind of really subtle and small bugs that are present in smart contracts, it would be like a huge revolution for smart contracts security.
Yeah, I was also just thinking about users who, or degens who ape into new coins. If they could, run the contract or the token contract and see if there's like a burn mechanism or anything in there that would red flag it, that would be cool. Okay, what about like it would be super cool to have Brian in our Discord. Is that a possibility in the near future to have Brian as a bot?
Actually, it was one of the first things that we did. Like when we like right after the Eat Prague Hackathon, one of the first things that we did was this bot where you could ask questions to Brian. So only the ask information one. But then when we started like increasing the complexity of the architecture and so on and so forth, the bot stopped working because it was no longer compatible with our API. But now that the API is finished, of course, it's completely you just need an API key and the Brian URL, and you could add your own Brian bot, or you could create your own bot, or you could add our Brian bot as well into Discord. So yeah, it's something that it's really doable.
Hell yeah. Any other questions for the team? I have more, but I don't want to take up all the space here.
Just curious, can we feed some more info to the LLM that you guys are using? In a way, can we customize it?
Regarding the knowledge part, so the asking, yeah, you could give us, so like what's the use case? Like you would like to add something really vertical on Gnosis, for example, or you would just like add more information on what we have, because what the we are capable of doing both. So expanding what he already knows, and also have something vertical on a specific set of data, documents, links, and so on and so forth. So we can do both as well.
All right, nice to know.
Yeah, and also as I don't know if I show it in the API, but there's a parameter in the knowledge API, which is KB, which stands for knowledge box. And by default, it's set to public knowledge box, which is the one that it's used on on the Brian app, but we can create more knowledge boxes with with vertical information, and then you can call the API and retrieve the information available only in that given knowledge box.
Nice.
I have one more question for you. So, what's the ultimate end game for Brian? Assuming you don't have any like restrictions, what's the most ideal scenario? What's the idea of like success for you guys? Where are you going with the project?
That's a really cool question, because we were talking about it like I think yesterday or Monday, and like if you ask Orbulo, what I would like what I always envisioned for Brian was to be like some sort of the new Google in the sense of the fact that you have this input where you just type pretty much everything. You always get an answer, or you get an action, or you get some code, and so on and so forth. So that is what I always dreamed of. I think when we started building Brian. But of course, the dreams are dreams and reality is reality. And I think that what we would like to see, Brian, is being used and being integrated in different projects, in wallets, in dexes and bridges as well. And in order to simplify an UX, in order to simplify the Web3 UX, which we think that it's really fragmented. Everything is fragmented from the knowledge to the execution part, and that's why we built Brian, in order to have one single point where you could basically do something by just typing, and to not have headaches to bridge some tokens from a chain to another. So the dream would be this: so to be integrated in as many protocols, wallets, and projects, and so on and so forth, Discord servers, whatever.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's so many cool functionalities, and it's so easy to use because it's language based, text based. I would personally love to see more like more functions where you can like revoke addresses. So like I don't know if you're familiar with revoke cache. So that if you feel like you've exposed yourself to a scammy address, or you signed something that you didn't want to, you can revoke it. So more like consumer protection stuff, or like anti-scam stuff would be awesome. But yeah, there's just so many cool things you can do with this. It's awesome to see, and we're so happy that you're on Gnosis chain.
Regarding this part, sorry if I interrupt you. It's not available, but it's developed. There's a functionality to simulate transactions as well on Brian. So, but since it's not really stable and it's not so user friendly as of right now, we did not release it. But the goal is also for people who are like, it's for two types of users, both the users that in a right way do not trust Brian because it's an AI based system, and of course it's not simple to trust something like this to generate transaction data for you, and also for like newbies, Web3 newbies, to see what would happen to your wallet, which tokens would change, how your balance would change, and so on and so forth, while interacting with Brian, for example. So this is something that we want to integrate, and we already developed, but we did not release it yet. But we want to target like this, like it seems like it's a platform meant for people who are not Web3 experts, but actually, in reality, a lot of the users that we have right now are Web3 native users. And this is really good because it shows you how something like Brian is capable of simplifying the UX also for people that are already experienced in, I don't know, swapping tokens, bridging them, and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, we want to add everything to be this kind of entry point, whether it will be via API for other projects or via our app, to be this entry point for whoever needs to do something fast and by just typing it in English.
I don't know if you saw, but over the weekend, there was a founder who was trying to claim an airdrop. It was a Solana airdrop. I think it was LFG or something like that. And they got scammed for like 125K just because they clicked a scammy link, but they got phished and they thought it was completely legit. So yeah, it would be cool to be able to use Brian to claim an airdrop and just make sure that the address is safe. I think that would be hugely useful. How about like, could I spin up a safe with Brian?
Yeah, there's not right now, but there's a whole safe mode which has not been released yet, which is really cool, which basically allows you to interact with Brian with a safe that you deploy directly from Brian, and it uses the safe to send transactions and so on and so forth. And our goal with the safe mode is to target it for new users on the blockchain, and we would like also to sponsor transactions as well for the people that will be using the safe mode. So like the Brian app has three kind of modes. These three modes, which is the normal one, the standard one, which is what is released right now, and then we plan to release these two new ones. One is the safe, which is this one for like newbies, in order to be like more safe and so on and so forth. While there will be in the future the DeFi mode, which it will be for DeFi users, where you could start and do really complex DeFi operations as well, like for example borrow and lending tokens and so on and so forth. Leverage trading. I don't know. I'm not really a DeFi expert, but someone in my team is, and will tell me what I need to implement. But and actually, what we did for this DeFi mode is in the ETH Pragagathon, for example, you could borrow and lend tokens from Aave using Brian, so by prompting. And you can use Safe, and you will be able to deploy it and interact natively with it. And I think it's already a Safe app. So if you put Brian into the Safe UI, it should work. But I did not check it. But so don't take my words. But it should.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Arbulo and Matteo and everyone else. Thank you for making the time. I know you're busy, so we'll let you go. But is there anything like upcoming, any conferences, any talks, any events that you'd like to share with us?
No, not in the near future. But if any of you wants to try Brian or wants to integrate Brian right now, because the API is out, so if you want to integrate Brian in your project, or you just want to try it, you can just, as I said at the start, send us your address and we will whitelist you. That's the biggest help that you can give us right now.
Awesome. I know Tom was typing, so want to give Tom a second to ask a question if they have one. If not, we'll wrap it up here. Tom, do you have a question? Nope. Okay. All good. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And please join us next month. We will be back here on the first Wednesday of February for the Gnosis AI call. And yeah, thank you so much to the Brian AI team for making the time. That was an awesome demo. And we'll throw this call up on YouTube so you can share it for your own purposes. And yeah, we'll see you on chain. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.